They kept the water electromagnetically charged, and the aqueducts and viaducts would have worked in a similar
Welcome to the
fashion.
stream, everybody. We're
Likely
watching a
that
5-hour flat
we
Earth
see scattered across
conspiracy
our realm
video
would have actually
and
strayed
playing
past the
bingo
water,
along
much like
to
we see
it.
on the Volga-Don Canal, even though it's unlikely that the Volga Arch is original, and that many roads themselves were constructed during the Great Reset. It is likely that the inheritors of the 19th century were instructed to drain and fill many of the tributaries that once carried water. That's why we see drained castle moats.
Couldn't you
and
just
star
build
stations.
these on a smaller
Perhaps that's what a lot
scale?
of the surplus mud we see during this period was used for. Perhaps a lot of homes and buildings
Oh,
were
the
constructed
oh,
with
we're back to the
chambers
mud.
to store
Alright,
their
we're
own
back to the
personal
mud.
supply of living water. And these areas were destroyed, filled in, and forever hidden with vast amounts of mud during the 19th century. The use of electromagnetism, sound waves, and water would have had endless applications and uses in the old world, most of which we will never know about. But many structural remains do offer a lot of clues. The abundance of remarkable and impossible stately homes, halls, and manors found throughout our realm all point
They
to
have
the mass-scale
fountains,
farming
and that
practices
just shows
of
you
old
that the
world.
global elite are
We travel miles to
flaunting.
marvel at their beauty and grandeur. But more impressive than the structures themselves are their gardens and water gardens. We have the Palace of Versailles, Schwetzingen Palace, the Royal Palace of Caserta, Nymphenburg Palace, Herrenhausen Palace.
Yes,
Even
rich
today,
people like
they still retain
having
much of their splendor and
geometric
brilliance.
gardens
It's when we
and
look at some of the old
pools.
plans of these areas that we realize just how otherworldly these sites were. They were never constructed to house the elite. They were the farms of old. Possible structures,
So
extraordinary
he's
climatic
basically
gardens,
saying
and
that like
water
these
systems.
weren't palaces.
Let's venture closer into the Palace of Versailles.
They were
and have a
power
look. Hold on now.
plants.
Wait, what? This is not the Palace of Versailles. I really need to fix this thing. It's been acting up a lot lately. Where are we? Wait a minute. I recognize this place.
Oh my god, don't
Memories
do a
from long time
fucking
ago.
skit.
This is Chatsworth House. in the
Stop
Peak
doing a
District.
fucking skit.
Oh well, this should do. Come on, let's see what we can find. Chatsworth House was completed in 1708, we are told. Its story, much like the story of the entire Peak District, is a fabrication, a complete lie. The place has changed much over the years. It is situated beneath two large bodies of water, the Emperor and Swiss Lake. The water from the lakes is channeled across a broken aqueduct before falling 79 feet and meandering gently down the hills in complex waterways and running right into Chatsworth Estate.
Okay.
The waters feed the estate's own lakes, rivers and streams through a series of runways and a multitude of complex tunnels beneath the estate and the structure itself. Due to the estate's repurposing, much of this remains hidden, but you can see the tunnels quite clearly here, snaking their way down. It is one interconnected water system. Waterways deliver themselves into waterfalls at the impressive rockery before continuing on their journey.
Why
All
don't
of
you
the
just
water
fix
gathers
the
into a central,
aqueduct?
rectangular front piece, which feeds. But look closer at what they acknowledge. Each step of the cascade is different from the one below and above it to vary the sound of the falling water. This was allegedly built in 1703. Why would an 18th century
Alright,
people
I'll
be
bust out
concerned
the
with varying the
aguardiente.
sound of falling water? How
I
did
do
they
love
even have
this
the
stuff.
knowledge and skills to manipulate the sound of water like this? And it's everywhere in the estate. The waterways, streams, and rivers all meander gently down to rest briefly at ponds and lakes before continuing their journey toward the River Derwent. Their journey is one of such splendid sounds.
It's a little
As
too
you begin
much,
to
but it's
traverse the
okay.
labyrinthine passages of our corrupted history, you will inevitably meet the lithographs, renderings, engravings, illustrations,
This
and
is
paintings.
so fucking...
How easy it is to lie when there is no photographic or visual.
Alright, we're halfway through. We're halfway through. We're going through the video. It's not going to be a 5-hour stream because we're going through the video at one and a half speed. So currently, I'm imagining that we're going to get into some fucking crazy shit from here. I don't even know. I think he's just stopping drinking. Cheers, buddy. Okie dokie.
Large bodies of water that are no longer there. And again, many would claim artistic exaggeration, the unreliability.
So are you saying that they used the electricity to make...
But when we look at Chatsworth from above on Google Earth, what is this we find?
To grow
Shadows on the ground
crops?
across from the river? No. These are the markings of old infrastructure that was torn down. The markings suggest there was once a bridge here. A bridge we see in the illustration.
Oh.
Look a little closer. An octagon with the clear outline of an old generator.
Octagon.
So yes, the illustration is a lie. The estate was much, much larger than depicted here. In 2018, there was a heatwave in England, and the old markings of Chatsworth's former glory started appearing in the grounds themselves. They had to acknowledge it. Sometimes mud and lies are not enough to bury the truth. Chatsworth
all
was a
back
huge
to the
farm
mud.
in the old world. As I said before, the illustrations and paintings are not to be trusted. More often than not, they are used as tools of deception against us. But as you see here, they do have a tendency to backfire on the controllers. Just like with the plans of star stations and cities.
Are you ever going to
our
tell us
technological
who the
access to tools,
controllers
such as Google
are?
Earth, validate these old plans and illustrations as half-truths. You can bet good money that even the plans and illustrations are only giving us a fraction of the full picture.
Why are you saying that these shapes mean that it's like a power generator and not that, like, and not that it means that they're gonna do like the Full Metal Alchemist like citywide transmutation circle and turn everybody into a philosopher's stone? Why is this the first place your brain goes?
And it's in Chatsworth that we encounter the first of many acts of barbaric desecration by the hands of the enemy. Chatsworth's
cool
great conservatory
greenhouse.
stood immense until destroyed in 1920. It was 84 meters long and 20 meters high, and constructed, they say, in 1840 before the establishment of automatic glass manufacturing.
Yeah, that's pretty
Huge,
cool.
interconnected tunnels and water pipes collected under the ground of the structure to provide heating via boilers and hot water. An engineering feat as impossible as the construction of the structure itself. It was designed by Chatsworth's gardener, Joseph Paxton. Paxton is a phantom that haunts the pages of the history books. Paxton's story is one of fortunate circumstance, daring innovation, and success. It is, unfortunately, a dishonest story, an unconvincing fiction. We are told that Paxton secured a gardening role when he was 20 years old, while working at Chiswick Gardens, and it was here that he encountered William Cavendish, the Duke of Devonshire, who was so impressed by young Paxton's horticultural abilities that he hired him as head gardener of Chatsworth House. Paxton is responsible for creating the following: Chatsworth's Arboretum, its rockery, the Emperor Fountain. You remember, the fountain that sprayed water into the air at twice the height of Nelson's
Okay,
Hollow.
he probably
The
didn't
Great Conservatory.
create it. He
was responsible for
probably
cultivating
just
the Cavendish banana,
said,
the
hey,
most
we
ancient
should
banana
put
in the
this
world
here.
today,
And
designing
then
railway
the
stations
fucking
all over
rich
the
people
British.
were like,
What a
yeah, that's a
talented
great
and
idea,
productive
buddy.
young man. Paxton's achievements, however, did not end with the banana and the conservatory. The farce doesn't end here.
Wait, he
There's
invented
a
the
tangled web
banana?
we weave when setting out to deceive. Paxton's success with Chatsworth led him to design the infamous Crystal Palace of London, just in time
What?
for the Great Exhibition of 1851. It was originally constructed in Hyde Park.
The Crystal
It was
Palace.
constructed in just over a year. An engineering
Okay.
feat never again repeated.
Yeah,
it was
true.
made from more than 1,000 iron bars, and its overall mass comprised of over 4,000 tons of iron. The Chance Brothers Glassworks in Snefwick provided the 300,000 sheets of glass. Remember, this was before automatic glass manufacturing.
Yeah, that
This
was
is the
hard.
glassworks in which the glass was produced. A simple maths equation gives us an average of 822 glass panes produced every day, 7 days a week, for a year. Right here, in this factory.
Yeah, that sounds
This was Paxton's
reasonable.
initial
It's a
plan sketch for the
factory.
structure. He went from this to this in a year. Furthermore, the entire Crystal Palace was able to house gigantic trees, and they had to board a lot of the glass panes up and cover a lot of the top of the structure during the World's Fair exhibition because the interior of the structure became too hot. Wouldn't Paxton, who designed the Chatsworth Conservatory, know that a huge glass palace would produce immense heat? The entire narrative soon dissolves into stupidity when we realise that a year later, in 1852, they dismantled the Crystal Palace and moved the entire structure to Sydenham in southeast London, where it was rebuilt with 2 additional huge water towers at either end of the monstrous structure.
Oh, water
Interestingly,
towers,
no
it's
photographic
the
evidence of the original
power
Hyde Park
generator.
Palace exists. Just illustrations. Wouldn't the structure have been the focus of many photographers during the opening of the Great Exhibition of 1851?
It is
the
weird that
first
we
of its
don't
kind?
have pictures.
It is highly likely there were either 2 of these crystal palaces in London.
That's the Hall
both
of
destroyed,
Justice.
Or the Hyde Park Palace is just an outright lie.
What does the Hall of
Interestingly,
Justice
a
look
few
like,
years after its
actually?
relocation to Sydenham,
I
this
haven't
map of the-
seen Justice Friends. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. That does look like the Hall of Justice to a certain extent. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not the Justice Friends. I'm sorry. The Justice Friends is the Dexter's Lab knockoff. With the infraggable Crunk and Van Halen. Maybe this is where I got my taste in men. Huh. You never know. What was it? The Justice? No, it was the Super Friends. It was Van Allen. It wasn't Van Halen. Wow, look at that. The Super Friends. You got your fucking Wonder Twins and their monkey. And then the rest. And then these 2 that I don't fucking remember the name of. Oh man, so good. This is probably a conspiracy too, right? Like, Super Friends is probably a conspiracy. Wendy, Marvin, and Wonder Dog were dropped from this in all future iterations of Super Friends. Yeah, because they sucked.
The palace was produced, all designed at the hand of our genius gardener. He struggled with the water supply, we are told. After all, supplying 12,000 fountains, 2 of which shot water 250 feet into the air, and the various cascades would be a difficult task to achieve. But clearly not for Paxton. He made it happen. Interestingly, the Crystal Palace also featured one of these impossible, grand, and spectacular organs. Oh, and if that wasn't enough, while Mr. Paxton was redesigning the Crystal Palace at Sydenham, he was also designing the glorious Mentmore Towers for none other than Baron Mayer Rothschild.
Okay, that is a little bit too much to be doing.
20-something gardener would go on to be responsible for some of the most impossible and impressive engineering feats in history. Let's also not forget about his banana. Paxton
Maybe
is an
he
example
wasn't
of the enemy's
fucking
laziness when it comes
20
to
when he
ironing
was
out
doing those
history.
other
It
things.
is not fathomable or even possible for the citizens of the 19th century to have even built these
It's
structures,
not
let alone assign their
fathomable.
inception to one sole man.
Bro,
The
it's
Crystal Palace
fathomable.
and its gardens, just like Chatsworth, were
You
huge
can't tell me
farmlands
what I
that used
can
wind
and
water
can't
in
fathom.
conjunction with sound and electromagnetic energy to cultivate a whole range of wondrous produce. Kew
You
Gardens
are
in
not the
London is another
gatekeeper of
example.
what I get to
The abundant
fathom.
electromagnetic energy was
Okay.
able to produce conditions of heat with ease, and the vibrational frequencies encouraged growth. Perhaps that's why Crystal Palace housed a grand organ, utilizing frequencies and vibrations to enable the growth of produce. And that's why the controllers were able to assign the cultivation of the banana, an exotic fruit, to a fabricated Englishman. The technology already established in England was able to
Okay.
grow many things with ease. Among other impressive horticultural
Maybe we
achievements
should just
attributed to
build a
Paxton's
Crystal
genius
Palace.
were the perfect pineapples,
I mean,
another
honestly,
tropical fruit he grew at Chatsworth.
how
He grew
could-
enormous
how
lily pads, which
expensive
hold the weight of a
could-
human. He grew gigantic sequoia
Oh,
redwoods
wow.
at Chatsworth, which usually only
How
thrive in humid
expensive
conditions.
could
He grew them
all
with
that
ease,
glass
and many of
be,
these redwoods
really?
remain today, a spectacular sight to behold. It's probably worth noting that among Paxton's many other talents, Wikipedia also tells us that he became quite skilled in moving gigantic trees, as well as gigantic crystal palaces. The largest of these trees weighing 7,000 kilograms. How? With horse and cart? Why are humans so gullible?
Why
They
are
destroyed the
humans
beautiful
so
and impossible Chatsworth
gullible?
Conservatory in
You
1910.
can't just move a tree.
As the Duke's son said in a letter to his father, they blew off well over 200 pounds of explosives to tear it down, so it must have been well built. The structures of the old world were built to stand for centuries. What a great shame. The lies surrounding the Peak District do not end with Paxton. The entire national park was one gigantic interconnected electromagnetic water system of the old world. It was most
Well,
likely one of
okay,
Britain's
but here's
brightest
my
lights
thing,
of-
right? Is like, okay, so we don't build anything to last these days, right? Because we are constantly advancing in technology to the point where, like, each thing that we design, we know it's going to be completely obsolete in, like, 5-10 years, right? So, but back then, the technology would have lasted much, much longer before becoming obsolete. So obviously you would want to build it to last, like, 200 years. Because what architecturally is going to change in 200 years other than flavor, you know, other than the style that you want it to be? So, yeah, technology is exponential. So these guys have this technology, the same technology that they have, the guy before them had, the guy before them had, and it all works exactly the same. So this guy, with, like, minimal help or input from other people, could just say, yeah, we'll just design this to look like this, you know? Like, they're incredibly familiar with the technology in a way that people of our age are not familiar with technology because it's brand fucking new. You know what I mean? Like, anything that we build now is going to be using so many, like, new materials and technologies and concepts and design ideas that in 5 to 10 years, it's going to be fucking obsolete, at least from a heating, cooling, and, like, structural integrity standpoint. But all these guys had to work with was fucking limestone, metal, glass. That's it. And when you do nothing with your whole life for generations except for limestone, metal, glass, what do you know? You get real fucking good at limestone, metal, glass.
Farming goods.
So
The national park
I
boasts one
think
of the
this
largest
guy's just
collections of
not
stately
really
homes, pools, and
understanding
wells,
that
all
just
of which
because
would
one
function as a huge
person was
farm.
credited with doing all of this or designing all of this doesn't mean that he didn't have an entire fucking staff of architects and engineers and designers.